For the power of truth, this is the Glad Report.
Hello everybody, thank you very much indeed for tuning in to today's episode of the Glad Report. Today we report on the kerfuffle that surrounded the funeral proceedings of the former president of the Republic of Zambia, Edgar Chagwa Lungu. On the 5th of June 2025, Edgar Chagwa Lungu passed away in Pretoria, South Africa, after receiving treatment allegedly for an esophagus condition, one that reports are suggesting he had also initially received treatment for as far back as 2015 and had been receiving periodic reviews. The government pronounced that 8th of June of 2025 to 14th of June 2025 is supposed to be the 1 week of mourning, national mourning period. The family said 11th of June is when the body would be repatriated into the country. Really, this is supposed to be a period of mourning, flags flying at half-mast, we expecting to receive the body back. But the question is, why is this period filled with so much controversy? The family said, because Edgar Lungu in his final days was treated ordinarily, he requested that he would be buried ordinarily as well, which has really raised a lot of dust and confusion. One person at the forefront of this matter is the Secretary General of the Patriotic Front, Honourable Raphael Nakachinda. He has had interviews with the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC, and the Newsroom Africa, both of them South African, going onto public platform, giving stories starting back from 2022 saying that Edgar Lungu over the years 2022 and 2024 was banned from leaving. An informal moratorium was placed on his travels, saying the only thing that allowed him to leave the country all in all in 2024 was when a UN representative who was asked to come in and investigate democratic integrity of Zambia as well as human rights standards here in Zambia, analysed the situation, and because apparently the United Party for National Development likes to play to the galleries of international community, they decided to let him go. No evidence has been set out to support his claim. This is just hearsay. Additionally, he went on to say that he had been receiving treatment for roughly 5 to 6 months, and the people at the hospital said had he come in 2 years earlier, it could have allegedly, purportedly saved him. They've also gone on to say very controversial things, that he could have been poisoned, that the reason the government has pronounced a 7-day mourning period is because they want to quicken up everything so that they have no further investigations put into the nature of the president's passing. Joining this choir of PF people speaking negatively about this whole debacle is Honourable Given Lubenda, who at a church memorial service on the 10th of June at the cathedral, Sacred Heart Cathedral in Pretoria, used a lot of sentiments really designed to rile up people, at least if you can easily be beguiled in a sense, saying things like, why, tell me why, was Edgar Lungu not allowed to travel? Why, tell me why, did Cecilia Lungu make the announcement, who's his daughter, make the announcement of Edgar Lungu's passing, and not the government all in all? And saying, thank you, Esther Lungu, who was in attendance at that event, the wife, saying thank you for sacrificing your husband to us. Very moving, very, very moving. But I need state that it's not the first time we've had a former president's death announced by a person who's a part of the government. Previously, for the case of Repair Banda, the person that announced his passing was his son Andrew, and then the government jumped on board to announce a 7-day mourning period, which is eventually extended to 21 days. So there have been rumours suggesting also that here in Lusaka, Honourable Given Lubenda was kind of gathering cadres up, potentially to in a manner of to negatively to retaliate against the government of how they didn't treat Edgar Lungu well and how he was treated ordinarily. Need I remind you, as we've talked about on this channel for the past 2 years, about Edgar Lungu's comeback in 2023, when initially he had left politics 2021, 2023 he came back in October at the Sata Memorial, which he chose as the venue of his return. And by returning, according to the former President's Benefits Act of 1993, he officially gave up his benefits. So sentiments coming from Honorable Nakachinde saying he was stripped of his benefits are really not honest. And I'm finding it a bit unfair in a sense that these are not things that are being, as they're saying, deeply rooted in hate, but are really constitutional consequences that were followed, or just constitutional course of action for an action that was taken by our former president Lungu in him coming back. Mr. Cornelius Macho, the government spokesperson speaking in Mombasa, Kenya, said the same thing, that really the government was just following the actions of what the president did. So him being treated ordinarily, especially financially, not receiving financial support, whether it was for medical care, or him not being received outside by diplomats, not receiving diplomatic welcome, or inter-country liaison, is because he made himself an ordinary citizen and cancelled the benefits altogether. Additionally, they've said, if you want to accuse us of having poisoned him, which is a very strong statement, he who alleges must prove, and we haven't at the moment received any proof. So it's a lot of he said, she said. Another he said, she said story part of this is we heard that when Mr. Kawana, who's the information and media permanent secretary, announced that Edgar Lungu was actually receiving chemotherapy outside, the Patriotic Front cited that they were causing emotional distress on the family, saying that now they need 6 billion as compensation for all that. It really makes me question what's the motive behind all this, and can we really just not be using this, according to Mr. Cornelius Macho, using this as like political springboarding, this political fiesta, really designed to get cheap political mileage, not my words. Yes, all in all, the bottom line is the body isn't here in Zambia. The family still has it there in South Africa. But then we cannot finish off with the proceedings of the funeral here in Zambia because the body isn't here. Additionally, them complaining about him being treated ordinarily is because he had made a decision to join the ordinary treatment. But him, it's only appropriate that he receives a state funeral because he was the president of the state. It's only fair. So them making claims that they want him to receive a funeral, even potentially outside, I think really takes away from the prestige and the honor of the president. It was Edgar Lungu himself who, when he heard the wishes of former President Kaunda to want to be buried in Chinsali, he himself said no, have him buried at Embassy Park where he is. Why can we just not follow suit in the same line? If they make it private and have a private funeral, whether it's in South Africa or here, security won't be provided for any president, whether it's from a post if he chooses to come into the country, or William Ruto. Those are the presidents who've already expressed their condolences. They will not be protected if they come into the country in the frame of security. It's just a bit sad that we're embarrassing each other on an international platform over a funeral that really can be handled. Just have the proceedings talked about behind closed doors, as opposed to inviting the public, all of us, hearing about things that we shouldn't really be hearing about. Whether it happened 2 years ago, why is it so fueled by vitriol, animosity, whether it's for the sake of political mileage or financial gain? It doesn't make sense for the public to be involved. Thank you very much indeed for tuning into today's episode. I'm glad with the report.
For the power of truth, this is the Glad Report.